Hello, Space Potato here, also known as Choda or Mallard or the Wise. I've changed my name about 2 times since I last made a video, which was over a year ago. And I'm actually decided to come back into doing YouTube videos. And I figured, because I've been so busy with my job, which is video editing for the army, that this would be the best place for me to actually start, is teaching how to do video editing in Premiere Pro. So the very first thing you're going to come up to when you turn on Premiere Pro for the first time is your login, your entrance screen. As you can see, we've got our recent item menu there. So this is the recent projects I've been working on, and we've got our little project that I've set up for us there. We've got create new project, and we've got learn, which gives you some guides on how to use Premiere, which I think you should read into if you're really interested in getting into video editing. I think we'll go and we'll create a new project so I can show you some of the how to create a project and actually do editing correctly. As you can see here, we've got our new project menu. You can start here with your name. So we'll name this we'll name it first project. It's going to want to call it first project 2, so we'll call it first project 2. Got it saving, as you can see, to the desktop. If you come here, now you'll see here you should have 2 options here if you've got an NVIDIA card. Not sure about AMD. If you do have an NVIDIA card, I suggest installing the CUDA drivers and selecting that particular option, engine GPU acceleration. You will edit much faster and it'll go well. Video, you want your display format to be timecode. You can go for one of the others if you understand them, but I wouldn't. This is the easiest thing to work with, and it's the standard for professional media. Audio, you want to just go audio samples, and capture format HDV. Not that you're ever going to use your capture format, but whatever. You want all your capture disks and scratch disks to be in documents. That's generally where I just put it. And then you click OK and it creates your project. So let me talk you through some of the things that Premiere Pro has and how to use them. So the very first thing we'll start with is a project window, and this is the one that's highlighted in blue with a blue outline, as you can see. The very first thing you're going to want to do is right click and click import. Now this will let you import any footage or audio that you want to bring into the program. I'm going to actually bring in, I'm going to be working on an intro for this video, in fact, that I'll put in front of this video, and we'll work on it together in Premiere. So I can show you some of the things that you want to do in Premiere and show you how to edit and show you how to cut together. So when you're importing, one of the biggest things you should know is if you import a set of footage that's in a folder, it will import that folder with the footage inside it as a bin. So if you organize your footage before you even do anything, it's all set up, all ready to go. All you got to do is import it, and you don't have to create any bins, and it becomes a snap creating videos because everything's organized. So I'll give you an example of that. If we come here to a previous project of mine, you can see that we've got a large amount of folders here. Each one of them has their individual pieces of footage in them, and as you can see, that is well organized, and if I just imported those folders there, it would import the bins. Now, something else you've got to understand is if I were to import this March Out folder, just the March Out folder, none of these bins would exist, and all the footage would be in a long list of cameras. I think it's a silly bug in Premiere. Hopefully they'll fix it, but it's just what I found out at the moment. So you've got to be careful of that. Other than that, it shouldn't have to be too much problem. You shouldn't have too many problems importing. So what we'll do is we'll start by inputting the footage I plan to use for this particular intro. The other thing you can do is import all your audio as well. And what we'll do is we'll create a bin, name it footage. So you right click and you click new bin. You highlight everything and you can just drag and drop into the bin, close the bin, and she's all good to go. Perfect. If you want, so the first thing you'll need to do when starting editing is create a sequence. Now, a sequence is where you put each clip of your footage that you've cut together in a big long timeline that you export from. Anything in that sequence will get exported unless it's disabled, which we'll go into later. So what you'll need to do is, if you grab a piece of footage that you're planning on using, and you drag it on the timeline, it'll create a sequence that will be this identical. It'll be identical to a piece of footage. So you're working from the footage's format, and that's the best way to do it. Unfortunately, you'll have to right-click on it and rename it to what you want it to be. So if you name it to, for example, intro, that's how you rename it up there. You right-click on the sequence in your project folder, click rename, and that's how you do it. And then you can just delete that piece of footage you've just placed in there to bring on your sequence. When you're cutting together, for example, the very first shot you might want to be on is, for example, this one. What you'll do is if you press I, it will put in. So this is your. Sorry, I should probably explain this first. This is your source monitor. Your source monitor is basically a version of your original clip that is unedited, that you can clip from, and basically the source monitor will never change. The source monitor is always going to be identical to the clip you double clicked on. So if you press the space bar, it'll start playing. If you press the space bar, it'll stop. If you use J in it, it'll send the it'll put it in reverse. If you press L, it'll make it go faster. If you press K, it'll stop all the footage as well. So you can use JKL as a scrubbing tool if you want to use entirely the keyboard to scrub back and forth rather than using your mouse. You can also use your mouse on the timeline there with the blue dot, and that'll drag through it. Here you've got your playback resolution. Generally I like to have everything set at half except the program, because that lets it run a bit faster when you're importing footage and you're looking through it all, and you can just scrub through it insanely fast without having to worry about lagging out. So what you got to do is you press your I, and that puts your in point for your in and out points. You drag it forward to where you want this piece of this clip to stop. So for example, I want it to stop before Simply J comes up there. Press O for out, and then you can simply drag and drop it on the timeline, and there's your clipped footage. However, if you would like, you can use the keyboard. Now for me, I've got it set to U, so I can use insert. Insert places it on the timeline. It moves everything out of the way. I always use insert, because if you use overwrite, it will overwrite all the footage in front of it, and you'll lose anything that you've already put there, and you'll have to hit Control Z, which undoes it. Or Command Z if you're on Mac. Alright, so what we'll do is we'll edit together a piece of footage just to show you. So we'll grab a few random clips here. Mind you, remember I'm just grabbing everything at random. And then we'll get some music. So this music here will work quite nice. So I'll put that there, and then we'll drag and, oh, I forgot about this. Music, you actually have to use these two icons here. So this icon here means it'll drag only the video if you grab that and click and drag it down. And this one will only grab the audio. So we'll grab the audio and drag it down to here. And as you can see, we've got a very rushed, well, it's basically just random. But as you can see now, we've got some video. As you can see there, we've got some video, we've got some audio, and it all works together. We'll delete all that, and I'll tell you what we'll do is I'll go away and I'll come back after I've edited some of my intro. Alright, so welcome back. I've done a little bit of cutting. It's pretty simple, just going through and cutting, using in and out. I haven't done anything, I haven't taught you yet. The only thing I have done that I haven't taught you yet, actually, and sorry, I did lie to you just then. The only thing I have done that I haven't taught you yet is changing the size of the video. Teach you that in another video. You do need it, you don't need it. It's sometimes thing, but it's basically how I've cut out the original logos that we used to use. Because I'm starting this is a new channel we've started. So as you can see, we come forward. You know, you've got the explosions. There's no more names in there. You've got me doing a bit of video editing there at high speed, which I'll show you how to do. That's another thing I haven't taught you. Two things I haven't taught you about. So, lied to you twice. Sorry about that. Yeah, and it comes through the video game I recorded just then. So basically, we've done some very minor edits, just in and outs. I've done a bit of speeding up, so I'll show you how to do that now, because that's actually a really cool thing. one of the first things I'll teach you how to do is just, this speeding up. So what you do is you right click on a clip in your timeline, go to speed and duration, and here you can change the speed. So for example, if you change that to 200 times, it's going to be twice as fast, etc, etc. The higher you go, the faster it's going to be. Now I've also put some music on there, as you can hear. It's probably actually cutting out my voice, so I might just mute it for now. But as you can see, the video starts just on a bang. It doesn't really, it needs to fade in. So that's the next thing that I'm going to teach you all, is how to add a fade in. Because I think that fade is the most important part. You need to fade into the video to make it work. So what you do in Premiere is you come to the side, either side of the video, you'll see there's a red little marker that comes up on your mouse. You right click and the menu will come up. So if you go down the menu and click Apply Default Transitions, it'll add a fade in. So now the video fades in, but the music will just come straight in. If you listen, the music just goes pop. There it is. Sometimes you want that. Sometimes it actually sounds good. In this case it does, and I like it that way. So I'm not going to add a fade in. I will add a fade out. But that's basically how you add a fade in. Now if you want to do a crossfade, so that instead of doing pop, it just goes to the next one. In this case it looks good and I want to keep it that way. But say you did, for this next one I will add a fade in. If you just add an Apply Default Transition between the two clips, doing the same way we did before, it'll add a crossfade, and as you can see, it fades nicely between those ones. So we'll do crossfades between all of them, so you can see what it looks like. Just do a mute, so you can see what it looks like, and as you can see, it fades nicely between all of them. My clip is a bit long, so I'm obviously going to cut it back, but that is very basically put together the intro to my videos. Very quickly there. Add a little bit of a little tail on the audio there, so that the video fades out, but the audio keeps playing as we go into the video. It's just a little artistic thing that I add. You might be asking right now, how do I put words over my video? Good question. That's a good question. So what you're asking for is a title. What you want to do is you want to add new title. Go up to the title menu, go new title, and we'll start with a default still. So we'll call this one, so for example, introducing, and we'll just have the word introducing in this particular piece of the title, just for, you know, whatever just for the name's sake. So we'll go introducing. That did not work. Interesting. So we'll type in introducing. And these are all your little presets you can do down here. So we'll do it black for now. I might change it back to blue. I do like the colors we originally had, so I'll change it back to blue. So now it's a nice blue with a white border, which is something you always want to do. And there you go. And so, what you can do is, if you did it right, unlike me, it'll be on top of your video. And it should blend right in, so it should just come in straight like that. There you go, it's there. But you probably don't want it to just be there, and you can actually fade. You can actually fade your title cards too. So you can fade it in, fade it out. You can do some washes if that's what you want to get into. I won't get into that. This is a very basic tutorial on how to use Premiere. You can work everything else out from here. So that's your very first title card. You've done title card there. Of course, you'll also have probably want to put some audio effects in. To do that, you've got your effect tools over here. So for this particular piece of music, I want to add pretty much nothing. If it was my voice, I'd add a dynamics across it. Dynamics just makes your voice, when it peaks, it doesn't peak. Because in real life, you find your voice will get louder at certain words and quieter at some others. But a compressor and a dynamic, it changes, it fixes that issue. So I'll just give you a quick idea of how to set up a quick compression. I normally like to go medium in 2014 CC Premiere Pro and set everything to auto. So it'll do it all automatically, and that just fixes everything, and it sounds a lot better. It sounds a lot better when you do it like that. So we're not actually going to do that, if you have an effect on there that you want to delete, you just click on the name and you press the delete button, and it'll just get rid of the effect straight away. So it's not too hard to get rid of an effect by accident you put on there. There isn't much else that I really could go through in this episode, as this is just the basics episode. But what we will do is go to exporting straight away. So I'm going to send you away again, and then I'll come back and it'll be finished, and we'll go to the exporting video part of this tutorial. Welcome back. Hopefully this will be the shortest part, is exporting. Exporting for YouTube is pretty easy. You want it to be as small as possible if you're in Australia, because Australian internet is absolutely awful, and so you want the video to be as small as possible. For a 15-minute video, you want to aim for around 100 megabytes, because in all honesty, 100 megabytes is still going to take about 20 to 30 minutes to upload. Alright, so what we'll start by doing is highlighting our clip. If you're in Premiere Pro 2014, you have to highlight everything. If you're in Adobe CS6, which works just as well, you do have to make sure your work area bar is selected. I can't show you here because we don't have one in 2014. It's a bit more advanced, but you'll understand if you've used Premiere Pro CS6. Look up the workspace bar. It's a little yellow bar. You need to expand it over the entire timeline, otherwise it won't export everything. So you come over to File and you come down to Export, and you go to Export Media. Now, if you're like me and like to save time, which is what I like to do, I don't know about the rest of you, is I like to export things through Media Encoder. If you're exporting a lot of things, you use Media Encoder because it exports things really quickly, and you can just set a whole heap of things in a queue and then just walk away from the computer. And I think that's pretty good. I mean, it saves you time, and personally, I don't like to sit here and consistently wait for things to click, and it just seems like shit to me. But anyway, so the best format for YouTube is H.264. You come down to preset. So that's your format there. So if you go to your giant list of formats that gobbledygook, I generally like to pick H.264, and then the preset is already there. So if you go down, HD 720p, which is what YouTube uses. Don't worry about interlaced. YouTube doesn't really like interlaced very much. HD 720p 25 frames a second is HD for YouTube. I mean, you could go 4K, but no one really uses 4K yet, so there's not much point. Don't worry about it. You've got your nice little settings down here. So if you come down here, you can see that currently our video is 12 megabytes. That's 15 seconds, so that's quite large. We don't want it to be quite that big. We'll get to that in a second. So you got make sure your frame rate and your progressive. Remember, we want to do HD anamorphic. Remember that, otherwise it'll screw up your video and make it look all stretched and wibbly wobbly crap. Profile main, level 3.2 is fine, and then we get down to the bitrate. I like to just go with CBR because it's just one slider. With YouTube, you generally don't need your bitrate too high because it's not as noticeable. If you're on a DVD, doing DVDs, sure it would be. 15-second video, 3 megabytes. Sure, we can compress it down more. Seeing as this is my intro video, it will be staying around 5-ish. Probably around more like 10, because it needs to be a high quality video so that I can paste it onto the start of my other ones. But if you're going to go on YouTube, smaller is better, because otherwise it'll take you 3 hours to upload it, and you don't really want to do that because it's not very fun. And you waste all your internet. That is how you export. I'm just going to quickly change to 1080i 25 frames a second preset, and got to make sure it's all nice and high quality, and then click Q. I'm going to show you how to use MPEG Media Encoder from Adobe. So wait for a few seconds and she'll open up. She takes a few seconds to open up. And here she is here. She opened on the other screen, so I just had to drag her across, but she's open. Now it'll put your item that you're ready to export into a queue, and it'll use the name of the sequence as the file name. It's going to export it to desktop. It's using the same format and everything. It's just you can put in a limited amount of videos in this, and it'll just go slowly through the queue, exporting each one individually until it gets to the end. So it's all automated for you. When everything's in there, and this is faster. This will export your videos faster. When you click play, off she'll go. She'll start exporting. Shouldn't take more than a few seconds, but there you go. Your video is exporting. Congratulations, you've learnt how to edit in Premiere Pro, or sort of. Good luck.